Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in, and what we have for you today is a 4K HDR TV from the house of Daiwa. Now, the TV boasts of a 4K resolution and also supports HDR, is available in screen sizes starting from 43 inches all the way up to 65 inches, but the one we have with us today is the 43-inch variant, which is priced at 26,490 rupees. Now, this TV in its size may be ideal for your bedroom or if you're looking for a second TV in a smaller room. But is this one to consider at this price point, especially considering the competition? Well, we're about to find out. Kicking things off with a build of the Daiwa's 43-inch 4K TV that we have out here. It isn't the slimmest that we have, and if you notice on the build, there are two protrusions on the back which are essentially for the wall mount. Now, these aren't a hindrance in any way, but their presence is something that you should know. Now, the TV has a plastic shell, something that we have seen on numerous TVs, and it has a matte finish on the borders all around, which is good because it may not reflect light in a bad way. Some TVs have a glossy border all around it when it comes to the bezel, which kind of reflects light and it can interfere with the viewing experience. Out here, it has a matte finish, which is good. Considering the price, the TV isn't the slimmest out there, and that's okay because it is a budget TV and the compromises can be made in its thickness. However, the 2 feet that come in the box are made of metal and they feel extremely well built. We have seen a lot of TVs that come with plastic feet and they kind of feel cheap or flimsy at times, but this one has metal feet and they look really, really nice. Now, the space between the table and the bottom bezel of the TV isn't that great. So if you are going to put, let's say, a gaming console or a set-top box, well, a small set-top box will fit. But if you have, let's say, a soundbar which is about 3 inches tall, 2.5 inches tall, or let's say an Xbox One X like we have out here, then you may feel a hindrance if your viewing angle is slightly from the lower side. So yeah, if you're going to be up straight and looking directly at the TV, the space may not be an issue. But if your viewing angle is slightly lower, especially if it's kept on a table, this may be a problem for you. Now, overall, the build of the TV is sturdy, especially the tabletop stand that comes in the box. It's kind of minimalistic in its design, and considering the price, it is pretty good. Now, when it comes to the connectivity options, this TV has 3 HDMI ports where HDMI 3 is ARC enabled. It has 2 USB ports, and all these ports are placed on the side, so it's easy for you to reach if the TV is wall mounted. But remember, if you're going to use the keyboard feature on the remote control, then one of the USB ports is going to be taken up by the supplied dongle which comes in the box. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. Now, at the back, the TV has an Ethernet port, an optical audio out port, 2 AV ports, an RF input for the good old antenna, and a 3.5mm out in case you want to connect a pair of headphones or speakers that support the 3.5mm connectivity option. The TV also boasts of Wi-Fi, but sadly there is no Bluetooth. Now, moving on, we have the display and the picture quality. Now, this 43-inch 4K TV has a 10-bit IPS panel that is made by LG, and thanks to the 10-bit panel, the TV boasts of 4K capabilities along with support for HDR10. Now, a 10-bit panel will help the TV output more colors, which is needed for HDR content, and to make the most of HDR content, the TV needs to be bright as well. Now, Daiwa tells us that the TV has a peak brightness of 350 nits, which isn't a lot, especially when you consider that the HDR10 standard requirements for brightness is about 1000 nits. Now, how the TV performs is something we will touch upon in a bit, but before that, we would like to highlight the performance of the TV using 3 types of content, which is what we're going to do. We have 4K HDR content, 1080p content, and gaming as well. So we are going to use all this to tell you about the content. Now, for 4K HDR content, we played a standard slew of clips from Netflix and Prime Videos, which included things like Daredevil and a lot more. And of course, from Prime Videos, we have 1080p content like from the likes of Spider-Man, Homecoming, Wonder Woman, Young Sheldon, and many more. Like we've told you, the TV has a peak brightness of about 350 nits, which is a lot less than the requirement for HDR, but is in line with what we've seen on most TVs in this price segment. The good news is that the content is viewable even in a lit room, with the downside being that sequences in the dark seem to be dimmer than what they should when watching HDR content especially. Now, you can switch off HDR playback if you want by going into the settings and view the content in SDR or 1080p, and that may help you especially when it comes to dark sequences. But having said that, the HDR performance of the TV is slightly better than what we saw on the Mi TV 4a Pro, which was the full HD TV with HDR capabilities. When we reviewed that TV had an 8-bit panel. The Daiwa here has a 10-bit panel. So yeah, I mean, there is slight better color reproduction out here. But the HDR performance is okay. It is slightly darker than what we'd expected, but it's the price point, right? Now, when it comes to full HD content, The source was again Netflix, Prime Videos, Hotstar, YouTube. We had a lot of things to choose from, especially a movie like John Wick, which is in full HD on Netflix, or even something like Wonder Woman. Now, in a movie like Spider-Man Homecoming, you have the vibrant colors. In the day sequences, they look nice, but there are times when in the night sequences, you see blooming, and we could probably attribute that to the internet connection. However, it is something that you will definitely notice if you are going to consume content and there is going to be a wide range of a particular color happening where blooming is very easily noticeable. For TV viewing, for your set-top box or even streaming services, the Daiwa 43-inch TV is a value for money proposition. I mean, the picture quality is kind of decent, the colors are good, the brightness is well bright, and the preset modes are easy to control, right? Now, speaking of the modes, be it in 4K HDR content or for full HD content, you may want to stick with the dynamic or the vivid preset, as these two are the ones that give you the best results with what you are watching. There are of course soft and eco modes available, but they reduce the backlight to such an extent that the content viewing is not as enjoyable. Now, one of the downsides is that there are very few picture settings for you to tinker with manually in case you are one that is looking to set the picture for yourself, be it things like the brightness, contrast, things like that. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to gaming, we played of course Doom, which is a 4K game but in SDR, and for the indoor sequences, the visuals of the game look detailed, and the grays and the silvers of the techie environment mixed with the demonic presence is immersive. However, shift to the outdoor scenarios in the game and the wastelands of Mars, where you will see the saturation of the TV feels a bit off, especially the orange planet of Mars needs to have a bit more red thrown into the mix to get that color right. But it is of course an experience that you can enjoy. I mean, it's not bad. Now, for 4K HDR gaming, we turn to Gears of War 4, which has a really nice stormy sequence. We also have an industrial area, which is at the beginning of the game. And with bright lightning strikes in the game, or even if you're playing in the various visual environments, the visual fidelity is pretty good, especially in the bright and dark areas. But remember, when you try to control the HDR and brightness settings in the settings of the game, there isn't really much to tinker with. So the output of the TV is kind of just stuck to that one point. But yeah, overall the gaming experience of the TV is fun, and there are a lot of games that will give you the option to tinker with the brightness inside the game settings, and you can tinker with this to get the visual fidelity up to the mark that you want. Once again, we'd recommend keeping the TV in vivid mode if you are one that is going to play games. Now, moving to the audio, the TV has two down-firing 10-watt speakers, and they are what you'd expect from a TV. They just get the job done for everyday watching. Now, if you watch a trailer like Cyberpunk 2077, or if you are going to watch something that has a lot of bang in it, at 60% volume, it sounds loud and it is room-filling. But if you're going to watch news or via a set-top box, that is the kind of content you will enjoy from these speakers. But when it comes to a movie watching experience, you do feel the miss of a punch, and it makes sense to invest in a soundbar. The speakers on this TV are just okay. Now, the Daiwa 43-inch TV runs on Android 7 out of the box, but it isn't Android TV. It is AOSP, and of all the AOSP TVs we've reviewed in the past, the UI is okay, but the streaming service content consumption is absolutely abysmal. Now, the UI experience of the TV is actually quite alright. Apps like Netflix and Prime Videos are only able to run their mobile versions and not their proper Android TV version, so this is quite disappointing. This also makes navigating the UI of the app more cumbersome and also reduces the quality of the content playback. You can log into your Google account if you like, but updating and downloading apps is a pain through the Google Play Store, especially an app like Prime Videos. However, you do have access to the Aptoide store as well, where you can download all the streaming services that you want. Now, another interesting thing is that the TV also has the Sense remote, and the Sense UI reminds me a lot of a baby version of Patchwall that is running on Xiaomi's TVs. You have access to your TV channels in the UI itself, and the UI shows you what's playing on each channel and the timings. You can even know how much of a movie is left to finish. So let's say if you are watching Game of Thrones on HBO, you will actually see those kind of durations and how much time is left for the episode, things like that. So the Sense UI is kind of really nice. It gives you access to a database as well. So for example, as you can see, we clicked on Salman Khan and you can see all his movies that are there. You can even see the upcoming shows or the certain movies which are currently playing on TV channels. So this is a good UI if you are one that is going to use your set-top box and needs to integrate a smart UI into your set-top box content. So yeah, this works quite well. However, remember one thing is that if you are going to stream content, then you may want to stick to a Fire TV Stick 4K or a gaming console or an external device, as the streaming experience from this TV isn't great. Now, speaking of the remote control, it has functions on both sides. One side you have the traditional remote control with functions like power, the number pad, the source settings, and on the other side you have a fully functioning QWERTY keyboard. Now, this is kind of really helpful, especially when you need to log into certain services. There are some places where the keyboard did not work, but there are other places where it was actually helpful, because considering these are mobile versions of the apps that are available on this TV, it is really cumbersome to navigate. There's a mouse button also, which is nice. So when you're using traditional controls, you have to point the remote at the TV. But if you are going to use the mouse functionality, you can actually wave it around. It kind of works, it helps. And when you're using the QWERTY keyboard also, it is going to use the USB dongle that's connected at the back of the TV. So you should keep that in mind. So you really don't need to point the remote at the TV when you are using the QWERTY keyboard. Overall, the remote control is functional. You can get the job done. The QWERTY keypad is nice, especially considering the UI, which kind of gets frustrating at times. So the QWERTY keypad can help you log into certain services. And well, overall the UI is okay. So here's the bottom line. There are a bunch of 4K TVs available around the 25,000 rupee price point, and we have a few 43-inch TVs from Thomson and Kodak. The Thomson UD9 runs on AOSP, and the experience is similar to what we have seen on this TV as far as the UI is concerned. We are yet to review. We are in the process of reviewing the new Kodak 43-inch 4K TV, so stay tuned, as we will tell you in that review how it compares to this one, and we'll also try to get a comparison across for you. However, if you are someone that's putting a toe into the 4K market looking for a small entry-level TV, you can consider this. The 4K performance is good, Full HD content consumption is good, the HDR content consumption is average. The smart UI isn't something that you are going to enjoy. And if you are buying this TV, we recommend going in for a smart streaming stick like the Fire TV Stick or a Chromecast or a gaming console or something like that, and also investing in a soundbar to get a great experience. Now, there are 43-inch TVs from brands like TCL, which are full HD TVs, but they give you the full Android TV experience. We're going to try to get our hands on those as well for you guys. So there you have it, guys. That was our review of this Daiwa 43-inch TV. You can let us know what you thought of this video in the comment section below. And for more videos like this one, you can subscribe to our channel. We will catch you in another video. It's goodbye for now.
For the latest technology updates, subscribe to Digit.in and don't forget to hit the bell icon.